Network Armageddon, Electric Boogaloo.
A network Armageddon, electric boogaloo. A network Armageddon, electric boogaloo. A network Armageddon, electric boogaloo. What is that? It's a fun thing to say with your mouth, isn't it?
Yeah, I like
I
things that
love
are fun
Matthew.
for my mouth.
Mhm. Great
Welcome,
way to start the
everyone.
day.
Welcome to a new show that we are starting. This is episode 1, the aptly titled Network Armageddon Electric Boogaloo. This will be a weekly show, a collaboration between Mr. Miranchuk, Jason Miranchuk from Miranchuk Now, and yours truly, host of King Pilled and the Astrolabe. We will be doing this weekly show. For now, it's going to be available publicly. I'll tell you guys right away. This is not going to always be a publicly available stream. We'll tell you more about how you can get it and how all the different plans that we have for this. But for now, as
We're exclusive.
oh yeah, we're elites. Network elites, the Astro Nabe.
Network
Oh
Armageddon.
God, Slutty Milk. He says the Astro Nabe
Jeez.
because
My,
NAEB.
my alternative name for this show would have been Super Friends Fun Gay Time Show.
Well, I am wearing shorts. I'll have you know.
See, there you go. I'm just
Get me
glad you're wearing
wearing
shorts,
women.
not just underwear. It's just,
I'm actually wearing
but
shorts and no underwear. How's that?
see, I don't need to know things, man. I, ignorance is bliss. There's some things I don't need to know.
Well, we're going to have to commission our art ho music nerd types to create us some intro music
We
for
need
this show.
we need some schizo. Yeah, we need a
Yeah,
schizo
yeah,
intro.
yeah.
Yeah.
Get some good AI visuals and something that fits the title. We just use the OG King Pilled intro. Those of you who've have watched the show for a long enough time, you guys recognize that intro music. As I sat down to go live, I was like, oh wait a second, I got the thumbnail, I got the new stream set up, but didn't get an intro, so we'll have to get that here going forward. But Jason and I enjoy talking to each other. It's very good, very easy for us to fill up many hours of talking. Both of us are good at that, so we figured why not just do this on a weekly basis. He has he has sort of his little world that he's primarily focused on, and he does this weekly conversation with Jim Jatras, and he has some other plans that he's rolling out here soon. I'll let him tell you about that when he feels like doing it. But uh, then I have my little world that I'm focused on doing the Astrolabe and EWBSX, and so we thought, why not mash up our worlds? We'll check in on a weekly basis and see what we think of each other's subjects. So today, this is the first episode of Network Armageddon Electric Boogaloo. We've got a few random assorted topics to get to. We'll see how many of them we actually get to, because we do like to talk. But we do have a goal as well. And I'm sorry I teased you guys last night, and we're not going to be able to follow through. I said last night that we would be syncing the super chats goal with the opportunity to get Jason and I drunk, but it turns out I was not able to go get more whiskey. The only thing I have left in the house right now is Fireball, and I was no. That's
Ooh, no.
no. You would I suppose I could have made this real fun, and I could have set the super chat goal at like $1,000. And if if someone wanted to give me $1,000 on the stream, yeah, I'll get Fireball drunk for that.
How
But
short are your shorts, by the way? Like they're getting shorter by the minute.
well, they've got like this spandex underlining thing as well that's
You're
really
wearing
nice and
it's like
snug.
you're wearing a thong at this point. Like just white girl
Well, see,
wasted. What are you talking about?
that's why I
You're gonna
don't
put your
wear.
purse down, you're gonna put your purse down in the middle of the dance floor and just dance around your purse? Is that what you're gonna do?
Hey, there's a reason that the thing of Fireball is still full. There's a reason that it hasn't been drank. I did enough of that in my college years. I've been Fireball drunk too many times in my life. I will not return.
Wow.
So we will not be getting drunk today. We'll have to save that for a future stream. However, there is a super chat goal in there, and we've gotten our first already, $10 from Mr. Witt. Good to see him catching a live stream. He says, "Thanks, gents. Thank you, sir. If we get 5 $10 or more super chats, then Jason and I will play a round of Ethnogesser ourselves. The two of us
Ooh.
will practice our racism skills.
I'm
So
not prepared for this, but I will do my best.
that means we're going to get a real authentic performance.
Mhm.
So yeah, Hit up the super chats, folks. All right, so let's to start this off. I wanted to celebrate men, to celebrate the greatness that is the strong, powerful white man. You guys might be familiar with Abosh. Mr. Tom Skinner. I've gotten out of the habit of doing this, but I was posting these every Friday, reminding you of this great man. And I'll play this video so in case you guys don't know who he is. If you do know who he is, you get to enjoy listening to him talk. If you don't know who he is, congratulations. I'm very happy I get to introduce you to Tom Skinner. And then Tom Skinner got himself in a little bit of network news drama. So we'll talk about that. But first of all, it isn't Friday afternoon yet, but it's Friday afternoon in spirit when we're listening to Tom Skinner.
Happy Friday afternoon. Now we've done it. We've got to the end of the week. We have locked up our warehouse. We have parked up our vans. We have logged off our computers. And I've quickly popped into my favourite local pub for a cheeky pint of beer and a little bit of early dinner because the wife, I love her dearly, but her cooking ain't that great. And we've got a stunning beef and ale pie, a bit of mashed potatoes, baked beans in a pot, which I think is wrong, but it's happened anyway. And of course, a bit of gravy. And you know me, I never look when I pour, because I am the absolute governor. Now listen, guys, hope you had a great week. Keep on smashing life. Keep giving it 110%. And don't go home until you're proud. And listen, cheers to you all. You deserve it. Abosh.
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 So, Mr. Tom Skinner wound up, the absolute governor himself, wound up on Good Morning Britain. And he's talking to an Indian woman, expressing his pride of being English, and things got fun.
And actually, I do worry for the
In
coronation.
no sense is that a symbol of
See, that, you know what that is?
nationalism or
That's just kind
racism.
of ignorance to me, because you're waving it around, and I feel it's
Don't start with me.
to people.
Listen, look, I'm proud to do this. I've come in here to say that, yeah. There's a million things. Like, I don't think that just because of a few wrong uns that are far right.
It's not a few wrong uns, it's a lot.
Listen, the majority of people, yeah, should be able to be proud of where they come from. Like,
They should.
We ain't letting them take.
I don't think you should encourage nationalism.
we are.
You should
We are
encourage.
proud.
We've had Brexit, Windrush. There's a lot that actually the younger generation.
Okay, so what? Because you say, as a woman of colour, you don't feel that this flag represents you, or that there
It's
are
not
things-
inclusive.
Yeah. So what is your proposition? What would make you feel proud to be?
Jason, it's not inclusive. Her home countries are about to get in a nuclear war with one another that everybody seems to be perfectly fine with. But it's not inclusive.
I couldn't give a shit more than this whole India-Pakistan thing. Like, I have a theory that this is like the new transition. Like, the Ukraine thing is wrapping up and didn't go well, so now they're transitioning to the Browns, and like,
it's not gonna work.
and like I said before we press record, we're just watching the City of London crowd just punch themselves in the dick repeatedly because now that's this new thing, and I think the entire world's going to go, no, let them fight, no.
Right. I saw some Pakistani.
What's the worst that happens?
Some Pakistani person posted that the England or India's greatest export, or it's the thing that everybody hates is India's greatest export, which is its people.
What's the worst that happens? Like, airplane toilets get cleaner overnight.
Right. Pooplier War says slutty milk.
You imagine?
Pooplier Armageddon.
Excuse me, Sarah.
I think all the moderate voices, like Ed said he did do, we need to become louder and actually celebrate. St. George actually is a representation of multiculturalism, and he's a representation of tolerance.
Born in Turkey.
We should be more of a tolerant country. We are not that these days. We are not showing tolerance. The far
Sorry,
right.
pause for a second. Is her nail polish like neon green? That's automatic. Like, just like you can't take this person seriously. Like, can you imagine? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it looks like it's neon green. It looks like a green screen. Yeah. There you go. Dismissed. Bye. Silly person. Bye. See ya.
How surreal to have, woman. You haven't even retained your native accent. She's got a pure British accent. You have biologically assimilated. You were beginning to, like, your physiology is assimilating without you even knowing about it.
Well, the whole idea too, like the flag isn't inclusive enough. It's like a country is inclusive. It means everyone inside the country is beholden to the flag. It's a symbol of the country. Are you in the country? Yes. Well then, like, what don't people get about symbol? What would you want the flag to be exactly? Like, do you want to include the Indian colors in there, or do you want to have a little poop emoji? Like, then you feel better about things. Like, oh yes, Sarah, it's like home. Look, like, what are you talking about, you dumb bint? Like, yes, it's inclusive because you live in the country, and of course he should be waving the British flag, and he should be going, yes, great, awesome, we live in Britain, and isn't it wonderful? Like, what more do you want? How much more can we give you, until you and then do what with? Like, this is the problem. I think we'll get into civil and primal frame, but like, this is what happens. You bring primal frame people in, they never let go of it. This is just primal frame in a nice, in neon green.
Primal frame doesn't necessarily mean you have all these ideas that you've conceptualized and you very helpfully named, and we talk about them often. But it seems like people are really good at taking them to mean something that they don't actually mean. Like the vengeful son, for example. The primal frame doesn't necessarily mean brown. It doesn't mean mud huts. It doesn't mean it's you can live in a first world country. You can have first world technology, and you can still think and act and be motivated from the primal frame.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's like the mud hut of the soul, right? Is that really what it is? It's bringing in sort of high time preference and relatively low trust. Well, we'll get into that, but because the trust part is an interesting dialogue with it. But that low time preference, everything's existential, everything here, right? Like, everything has to be done for today. No concept of consequences.
Mm-hmm.
We'll worry about that later. Like, there's tigers and shit. We gotta deal with stuff, right? And fine, in the right environment, that's the proper frame. That's why I'm saying, like, it's not a dig on some people. Like, they should have that frame in those environments. But when you import it into civilization, and civilization's whole point is to create a standard that people can count on, that things are going to be at least as good as they are today, and hopefully even better tomorrow. And we're kind of on a trajectory and that trajectory will last for hundreds of years. Well, that's something you can count on. That's why you have children, and you build into the future. You build cathedrals, you build like multi-generational wealth and all that stuff. That is not present in a primal frame person. They don't think these things. It's as alien as you can say these words and they'll go, uh-huh. You go, okay, generational wealth, good, right? Uh-huh. We're going to keep doing this thing and building this thing, and we build beautiful banks because beautiful banks, da-da-da-da. Uh-huh. And then you turn around, the next thing they're doing is like clogging up the toilets, and they're pooping in the street. You're like, okay, I got a whiteboard. Where did we go wrong? Like, what point did you lose? Where did we lose you?
It needed to be a song, needed to be delivered to them in song form.
Right.
I've got more thoughts on this primal frame thing, but we've got more coming up on that, so I'm going to keep playing this.
People are so much against asylum seekers, refugees. They're taking this, they're taking that. But let's celebrate.
But if you give the flag and patriotism and St. George's Day to the far right and say, we're not going to touch it because that's something we're not proud of, that is a catastrophe for our country, and we have to own it together.
It's outdated.
We can be proud of the things which we achieved together.
We can, but let's get a new flag, because that one is outdated and it represents far too much negativity in this country. I think we need a new day. Did anyone celebrate St. George's Day? I mean, the turnout
did.
There was the big parade of school
turnout.
It's interesting. This other guy, the host, he's making like a pragmatic argument about it. He's like, okay, I understand your point. Her point's gay, but he's like, I understand your point that we don't, that right wing, the far right, the nationalist crowd, no, that's bad. We don't want to be that. But if you say that the flag and St. George's Day are things that are only for the far right, then you've now ceded cultural power away to the people who you're ostensibly at war with, which is kind of an interesting. I almost have respect for that from like a realpolitik perspective. That it's kind of a little less ideological. He's granting her premise, which he shouldn't grant her premise in the first place. But he's the freaking host of Good Morning Britain. I'm not expecting much out of him. But then he's doing this sort of pragmatic thing that if we grant your point, then actually what you're doing is self-sabotage.
You know, I think on a long-term analysis, the melting of the Southern Confederate statues in America was a punch in the dick. It was actually a long-term hubris. Like, it was a misplay.
Yes.
Because if they hadn't done that, they wouldn't have woken up a whole bunch of people. Like, when they started doing that, even average normies who just want to grill and are like, I don't think politics and that kind of thing, and all of a sudden they're seeing this like, oh wait. Like, for me, it was
reigniting blood memories.
I share the George Floyd story in Montreal as the catalyst, right? Like, you're stacking these contradictions, and they stack to a certain point, and then you see something that goes pink, and all the contradictions start to fall because you can't maintain them. And when I looked out my window in Montreal and saw a bunch of people kneeling, into a distance, and like, there's a religious ceremony, and no one's freaking out about this, and we're in Canada. Why are we having a religious ceremony to a black man in America, right? Like, that was it. That was the one thing where my skeptical atheist brain couldn't handle. It was like, okay, well, fuck it, I'm going to church.
Many such cases.
Yeah,
Will you celebrate the coronation?
Actually, no, because I think the monarchy, no, I'm sorry. I think the monarchy represents...
Have they gone as well?
...represents colonization. They need to give back all their stolen jewels.
Marina,
I will not be celebrating.
Okay.
I feel sad. I do want King Charles to do the right thing. I feel he can do the right thing. I think, yes, I would celebrate
pause
that,
for a second.
of course. But I think King...
Oh, the National Health Service. She'll celebrate that.
Yeah, we're gonna make this 2-minute video into 2 hours. But
yes,
let's just play this out, right? This is evidence of the primal frame. Okay, let's say you get everything you wanted, right? The royal family gives back all their jewels. The museum gives back all their stuff. Britain, gets on both knees and please forgive us for our colonial past and da 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 da. Right? Let's say you get everything. Then what? Like, what's your plan after that? Anything? Nothing. Oh, you just get it, and then you're like, and then things get better, or what happens? You become the new host of Good Morning Britain, or something? What's the play? No, but I'm serious. It's a dog chasing a fire truck. If they actually got what they wanted, they wouldn't know what the hell to do with it.
Yes.
So okay, you get everything, right? Here's the keys to the kingdom. Now you are the prime minister. Okay, lady, you're the chief decision maker. What are you going to do? What's the next step? Oh, nothing? Because you don't know, because you're not thinking that, do you? Yeah. You don't think about tomorrow or next week. You're thinking here.
And this isn't strictly an IQ thing either, because there's plenty of high IQ people who think, who operate from a primal frame. There's something I don't know, deeper to it than just IQ. This is actually lining up almost perfectly, because with the next clip that we have coming up, it's going to just, this wasn't intentional, but it's working out well.
King Charles, who wants to be defender of all faiths, I have faith that he may do what his mother
armed forces?
Do. Okay. Yes, very proud. Of course.
The Royal National
There's lots of things I am proud to be
Fish
proud
and
to be British.
Remembrance
I love fish
Sunday.
and chips. I am dying.
Last night of the proms.
That's no.
Oh, come on! Come on!
Lorinda, thanks very much indeed, Thomas. Thank you very much.
And actually,
just this image right here.
In no sense is that a symbol of...
And how he's laughing through the whole thing.
And actually, I do worry for the coronation.
In no sense is that a symbol of...
Oh, I love this guy. So this next clip here is going to illustrate exactly what you're talking about. You say, and then what? Like what's going to come next? You get all the crown jewels, you extort all these reparations for colonialism, and then what? Well, this here is one of the greatest illustrations of the primal frame that you're going to see.
you're trying to say that, from what I'm understanding, in third world countries, anything that is not under maintenance is because, you know, we don't care.
No, you care. It's not in the concept. Travel the 54 countries in Africa and ask each person in every country, what is wrong with your country? Leadership. Leadership. All of you say the same word. So let me ask you, since 1960, the country has been picking the wrong leader every 4 years. Not a single railway built by the British is in Nigeria today, but the one they built in their country that same year, it's still running. Not a single railway built in Ghana in 1960 is still there today. What do you know in that country that has been properly maintained by the people every day and it works perfectly?
It's hard for people to maintain things when they're not gaining a lot.
No. It's hard for people to maintain things when they don't have the concept of maintenance in their culture. What is the one word in Igbo for maintenance?
Maintenance is there's no direct English word for that. It doesn't translate directly to maintenance.
That's correct. How about you?
It doesn't translate.
That's correct.
But it translates to like take care of.
No, that is not maintenance. What is the one word for repair in Igbo?
Imezie.
Exactly. What is the one word for repair in You see, I'm driving you to somewhere. What is the one word for democracy in Igbo language? You don't. How about you? You don't. You're trying to practice something that is not in the concept of the language. There is no African country, and I've done it through Kenya, I've done it all, that has an equivalent of the word maintenance.
Well, in order to maintain something, you have to have it first, correct?
No, if I leave it for you, you can maintain it. The British left a lot of things in this country when they left. They established the hospitals, they established the fire stations, the post offices, the railway lines, the roads they built before they left. You were not able to maintain it because you don't have that concept. Well, because your environment, the tropical...
It's interesting, right? She has a word for repair. So in their mind frame, if something breaks, you wait till it breaks and then you repair it.
Yes.
Maintenance is you don't wait for it to break. You keep maintaining it so it doesn't break. You know, or sometimes things just break. There's problems, there's, you know, accidents, whatever have you. Things eventually just wear out. But you're trying to catch it before it wears out so that you replace it. And that way, if there's a disruption in service, it's, you know, maybe a few hours or a day, not a fucking year. Or it breaks and you go, oh, and walk away from it. Well, I guess we just use it for housing now.
Right, yeah. What? Yes, this is the primal frame. This is the that difference between maintenance and repair is a time horizon thing. It's a self-discipline thing. It's a I need to do this thing that doesn't seem to pay off right away. Maintaining the thing doesn't pay off right away. But what maintaining it does is it prevents you from getting to the point where you have to repair it. Because when you have to repair it, that's going to suck a lot more than the effort required to maintain it.
Well, look, we do this with our kids, right? I'm sure you do this. You have a son, so you probably do this all the time. But even with my daughter, I'm like, you have to treat your things carefully, because daddy can fix some things, but he can't fix everything. Some things, when you break it, it's broken, and I can't fix it. And we'd have to buy a new one, but maybe we don't have the money or whatever have to do it, right? So I'm training her from, you know, this started even before, but she's 4 years old and I'm getting this into her head. Like, you got to take care of your things. You got to make sure things are put away correctly. So, you know, people don't step on them, get them off the floor, just little things, right? But it substantiates a pattern. And that pattern is important. That way, when you introduce the concept of maintenance and all these other things, the kid gets it and they see you doing it. They see you, you know, maintaining the house, cleaning the house, doing these little things. You know, you don't wait until the house is a complete pigsty. Hopefully, sometimes it happens, but, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're doing these things constantly so that you don't ever get too backed up. That's a civil frame thing. This is what I'm trying to get through to people. Like, so in case people don't know, Matt and I did a series about this a year or two ago. I can't remember now. But I introduced the concept of, so you have primal frame and civil frame. And the civil frame people, let's say, are like us, right? We're builders. We build. Why? Because we're builders. That's what we do. Like, we're building centric. And so we build towards a civilization. That's always the goal. And there's a whole bunch of reasons for that. But primal frame people don't do that. And they maybe because they're raised in developing world, third world, but it doesn't even have to be that. You can get like Destiny is a good example of a primal frame person, someone who just does not think about tomorrow. So it's just getting what you want now. You can't have a civilization with that mindset. It falls apart. So when you introduce primal frame people into a civilization, unfortunately, because the primal frame people, because it's easier in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of people will default, especially if the civilization's been around for too long or long enough, people just start to assume that, oh, I'll be fine. Like, it's just, things just kind of take care of themselves. I don't know, it's magic, right? Like, subways are always clean, things are just done, and we don't have to worry about that. It's like, no, you have to worry about that. Maintenance. You have to perform maintenance. And it's as simple as picking up garbage in your neighborhood, or the broken window thing that people talk about. Yeah, that's important, because when you allow those things to start sliding, it starts to take the whole thing down, and people start to civilizations are reflective. So the way that the civilization looks and feels is reflective to the citizens, and back and forth. So I did a show yesterday about shorts are for women, children, and on YouTube. It's I checked the word. I can say it, but it's like whatever. I don't want to get you in trouble. But I was responding to the old Glory Club's article about this. Shorts are for men, and their crux was like, people should look good as long as you're wearing it. As long as you're wearing good fashion, that's a good thing, and I don't disagree. But it's kind of also missing that salient point, is that it's not just about looking good. The civilization has to look good too, because you can be dressed to the nines and walking through the slums. Doesn't change anything, does it? So both these things have to be working in tandem in order for the civilization to flourish and grow. And then I have the theories about how this is affecting birth rates and all these other things. But that's the crux of it, is that civilization is civil frame people need to have their civilization and basically kick out primal frame people and put them in places where they belong. And it's not racial or anything like that. It's just survival. It's just existential survival, where it's like, you don't belong. You can't exist. If you want to belong here, this is the way you have to think. Can you think like this? No, go away. Work that out. Then come back and we'll see. But until you can, it doesn't work. This is why immigrants from Europe in World War II or World War I, World War II worked. They're civil frame people from Christendom coming into North America. They gel. They understand it. Even if they have differences in how they express it, they understand civilization. They can work together with that. You bring in people who don't have that in them, they're going to just tear it down. And you can see it. They come in, they import their country, and it's not their fault. It's just what they know, right? Like, it's literally just a different phronema. It's a different worldview that maybe it takes 2,000 years of Christianity to get it through people's skull. I don't know, but whatever it is, they're lacking it, and you just can't expect them to come in and go, it's fine. Give them this tabula rasa. Give enough education and money and feminism, and they'll be fine. It's like, nope.
Notice one of the words he mentioned that they wasn't just maintenance, the word democracy. They didn't even have the word democracy in their language. And I think what he's driving at, he says, I think the term he's using is like, you don't even have the concept, the concept in the language. But it's more than just having the concept in the language. Not having the concept in the language is an indicator that concept doesn't exist in their minds. It doesn't have a presence in their culture. And so it's not just the maintenance thing, but the premise of democracy, the idea of having people voting and having the common person weighing in on stuff, that hasn't even been present. That notion is something that was imported to them. And so just like the maintaining the railway stations and the post offices and the public bathrooms and stuff, there's like the macro and the micro scale. On the micro scale, they can't maintain their bathrooms and their railways and their roads and all this sort of thing. And just the same, they can't maintain their system of government. You can't just go like export that system of government, give them the tools for it, and then walk away and expect it to take root. Because again, there's no tabula rasa. There is no democracy is not something that's like latent or inherent in the human spirit that just naturally emerges when it's given the correct outlet. There are some people that are genuinely not capable of even having democracy. I think the notion of democracy, like the notion of having individual people voting, actually does have a place. I think there is a place for that. You see it when you have anytime you have some sort of a committee or you get a group of people together to do something. There's a natural instinct toward, all right, well let's just vote on this and just have a tiebreaker or something like that. But that's something that can only work repeatedly and iteratively within certain cultures, and those cultures have to be in order to have that democratic function. In order to actually get the best version of that, you're going to have a extremely civil frame oriented group of people, because that's when there's a racial aspect to this. There is an IQ dynamic to this, because there's something about pattern matching or pattern noticing and being able to abstract away, because that's another thing, is like being able to abstract out of the immediate situation in front of you. Like if you're low IQ, I think it's probably safe to say that if you are low IQ, you absolutely are going to be primal frame, just by nature on an individual level. So you can have low IQ people who exist inside a civil frame culture, but they have to be guided and directed and given, they can't be treated as if they're just equals. They need to be directed and parented even as adults. But just being high IQ doesn't automatically make you civil frame. And I think there's an interesting thing you could weave into this, that is the role that debt plays, debt and fiat currency, the role that plays in promoting or breaking down the civil frame and promoting the primal frame. Because once you become like, debt has a place in an economy, but once particularly with the imposition of a fiat currency and the way the dollar reserve system works, it's incentivizing the creation of debt spirals, which begin as the pressure of that debt builds up and it starts distorting incentives. Then it begins incentivizing consumption now. If I have the credit card and I can just consume now and I don't have to wait, then I begin developing the muscle memory of, I'll just put it on the credit card, or I can't quite afford this, but I can figure out a way to make it happen by leveraging this, high risk debt or something like that. Once debt becomes a proliferative function in the economy that's available to everyone, then you're going to spiral toward primal frame behavior inevitably, I think.
Well, I think it's like decentralization of certain concepts that lead to these problems. Like, for example, let's say feminism, right? Feminism might actually make sense to a small percentage of elite women who are inheriting their fathers or their families' fortunes, or dad didn't have sons, they only had daughters. Well, they should have, and they're like, look, I'm sitting on billions of dollars with this empire, all this other stuff. Like, I should get a vote. I should get this. I should get that, because
there are exceptions that prove the rule. Yeah.
Right. And from my understanding of it, and please anyone correct me, that was kind of the initial, the people who were really pushing it in the early days were those elite women who wanted this thing, but they understood that in order to get it, they had to make it to everybody. Right. And that became the issue, is that once you let it out to the general public, well, and I also speak this about men too, most men shouldn't be voting. Like, in this style of democracy the system set up for. But even with democracy, let's say you make it common, it only really can possibly work if you're working from a civil frame and everyone is a civil frame person. So the trust and the trust you're placing into it is that either no matter who you vote for, both these people are honestly trying to advance the civilization, right? They're doing the best they can. Now, they might have a different opinion of how to do that, and maybe they screw up, or maybe it's not a good idea, or whatever have you, but they're trying. Like, their intent is this, and everyone shares that intent. So regardless of success or failure, they're at least making the honest effort. So you don't have resentment if your guy doesn't win for very long, because you're like, yeah, okay, my guy didn't win, but at least schmuck over here is going to try his best, right? If you don't even trust that, then right now it's so polarized that the other side honestly thinks that the anti-Trumpers think that Trump's trying to destroy the country, and vice versa for the Democrats. So that's a primal frame thing, right? Now it's all here, because you're not sitting back and going, okay, let's just watch what Trump does and let's give a report card and let's wait and see what happens, right? Let's see. We've talked about this. It's been 100 days and people are asking, like, why hasn't Trump done all these other things? Like, it's been 100 days, man. Like, what's wrong with you?
You're right.
What have you gotten done in 100 days? Jack all? You play the new Oblivion game? Like, what have you been up to? Like, what do you mean? So, and I'm not, this is not giving Trump cover. It's just more like, look, some of these things are going to take a while. Like, I don't think you can even give a report card on a leadership. You got to wait 20 years to really kind of see. Like, we can now look at George W. Bush and his leadership, just to name someone, and really give an accurate, plus minus on the decisions of that regime, and see. Now we can pull back and see what happened with Iraq, what happened with this, what happened with that. You couldn't do that up until relatively recently. Things were still too much in the air. I mean, you can say whatever you want, but it's not going to be very accurate. We're finally getting to that point where we can do that with Obama, where we can finally say, okay, look, they did this. Here's the results, plus or minus, good or bad, overall. And it's not conjecture. It's not like what I like or what I don't like. It's like, if Obamacare has led to horrible results, well, contend with it, or vice versa. What if it was amazing and great and all the good things, and great, cool, awesome, and he did great and good for him. But it takes a while, so you can't just start grading people in the media in like 100 days, or what's Trump done this week. Let's speculate wildly about what's going to happen next week. It's like, calm down, man. Like, it's
that's the when I see those kinds of posts, I mean, it's typically something related to immigration or Israel or something like that. But those, or Jeffrey Epstein, the Epstein list, something like that. So there's this, Trump has been president now, and XYZ hasn't been done, or he did XYZ, and if something XYZ doesn't happen by this point here, then I'm going to declare it a failure, or I regret my vote for Trump, and like all that stuff like that. That is primal frame thinking. Like, I'm not just saying, oh, well, you just got to hold off and trust the plan. I mean, here at this channel, we are proud truesters. We do troost. But if you think like what you're saying, many of these sorts of things can't be judged in the immediate. Like, you can't make an absolute end assumption about the ultimate destination after a few weeks, especially when you're dealing with these massive bureaucratic institutions that are designed to be very difficult to move. It's going to take I find myself being like, I'm obviously very white-pilled, very optimistic, and very encouraged by the behavior of the Trump administration. And I know there's lots of other people who are not, and they come up with their whatever list of reasons why. And I realize sometimes I think that the people who are the most pessimistic about the Trump administration also have the most unreasonable expectations about it. They, as if it's possible to have the system we have that has been entrenched the way that it has, and that anybody could conceivably come in and just magically reverse everything and make everything all better and solve every possible issue with accounting for every potential negative externality conceivable, and do all of that within a few weeks. Like, if that's your standard for success, then you're out of your mind. Like, you're much more of a planned truster than I am.
Yeah, Saturday morning cartoon logic.
Yeah, right.
He-Man wins, right? He-Man wins and beats the bad guys, and everything gets back to normal and is great until next week, and then he has to beat him up again. Like,
right.
It's a continual process, right? Return, repent, redeem. It's daily. Like, it's going to take time, man. It's going to take. It's going to, yeah, like you said, you have this mountain of problems. If Trump fixes one thing, it's amazing, like beyond amazing. If he can fix 5 things, he's a god emperor.
Right.
No one's fixed 5 things since, I don't know, not since I've been alive. They've changed 5 things. They've done like 100 things, but actually fixed 5 things, it's unheard of. So, yeah, it speaks to people's trust too, as well, right? Like, how can you trust somebody who was that guy, Barstool Sports guy, who was Trump
Dave
train all the
Portnoy.
way, right? Yeah, Trump. And then what? It's something about Israel, or I don't know what the heck his thing is. And now he's like, no, I disavow. And you're like, okay, so you've told me that you're an untrustworthy person. I can't trust you. You're literally going to change your mind.
You're mentally unstable.
On a headline. Right. Well, I mean, this is the other thing. You introduce primal frame into a civil frame. Primal frame, I think, wins out often because, again, it's too tempting. It's too easy. At least
it appeals to the lowest common denominator.
Right.
And there's always more people closer to the lowest common denominator than there are further away from it.
Absolutely. And then you add things like break up the family. You add all these other, people turning away from church, all these things that maintain a sense of context and continuity. Something I mentioned on the show yesterday, and this kind of hit me. I think it was you and I talked about this, where I said, how far back in your family tree can you go? And I think the standard response from most of us isn't that far. I know there's going to be some people who go, I can trace it all the way back to, yeah, great for you. But for the rest of us, it gets back to like great grandparents, maybe, and then it's like, right? And then you try doing that on both sides of your family, and it's like, you have a wife, and you're like, I don't know, like maybe 100 years, maybe, and it gets real sketchy too. Like, you don't know people's names and stuff like that. The benefit of going to the Orthodox Church, or even let's say the Roman Catholics have this as well, is sorry, I always screw this name.
Apostolic succession.
Thank you. Thank you. That word. It gives you a family tree. Because when you're baptized, your priest has been ordained or been baptized, ordained by a bishop. Only bishops can ordain bishops. So there's a lineage all the way back to Christ. So now, when you join the church, regardless of whether you have a father, whether you have a family tree, let's say you're an orphan, you don't know nothing, you now have a family tree, and it's a spiritual tree. It goes right back to Christ Himself. That's power, right? And that's one thing that I think when we talk about the wars against Christianity, that's part of the reason. Who has family trees now? Who do you know that for sure can trace their lineage back hundreds of years, maybe even thousands? Elites. Do you think the Rothschilds don't have a complete and total family tree stretching back 1,000 years just to put a name out? The Bushes, whoever, they sure do. They know exactly where they came from. So to deny the common man that same access severs his connection to history. And then once a man has no history, he has no future. He only has now. And that's a great way to manipulate.
To induce the primal frame.
Sure.
Let me catch up on the super chats here real quick. You got a $20 super chat from Wolfgang Graves. He says, a Jackson toward a valiant cause. Thank you, my friend. That puts us at 3 out of the necessary 5. If we get 2 more $10 or more super chats, then we will, Jason and I will take our racism exam at the Ethnogesser game. And we got a $10.
I prefer bigotry.
Bigotry? Yeah, okay. Yeah. $10 super chat from Colin Marash. He says, tolerance is a term for drug addiction. That's a very interesting thought. Oh, man, every once in a while I get one of those that you have these words that have their siloed contexts, but it's like the same word and it has this context and this context, and you only tend to think of it in those siloed ways. But something happens like that, where if you're talking about tolerance, like we're going to be tolerant in the Karl Popper sense. Well, tolerance is a term that you would use for drug addiction. It would also be, you could have like the like tolerance in a like a machining sense, where you have like the I don't even know what the word is, tolerance. That's very interesting.
Even compassion, right? Compassion literally means co-passion. Like, it means co-feeling. I'm going to feel what you feel, right? Which is, fine if it happens, but I don't think people really understand that. Like, in the common parlance, it just means like, oh, I feel bad for you.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel really bad that the bad thing's happening to you. It's like, yeah, but you don't feel it, do you? Like, you're not feeling my pain or my situation. You just feel bad that the thing's happening. I think this really gets to like that mentality, gets you into the end of suffering kind of mentality. And people don't then, because it's like, well, suffering equals bad, and we don't like bad. We only want good. It's like, but what if suffering's necessary? What if suffering's necessary to get the good? Like, you have to have the suffering in order to even have a possibility of the good. What then?
Yeah, so a war on suffering is a war on good. Ultimately, you're to go to war against suffering. You're actually it doesn't work. The corollary is not that promoting suffering is promoting good, but to try to eliminate suffering, to eliminate the existence of suffering, is to eliminate the vehicle through which we discover God.
Right. The good, the beautiful, and true. Right. It's pressure creates a diamond. It's the desire for these things, and the thing that holds it together is that suffering. Right. So you're constantly yearning for that thing. It's I was reading Father Seraphim Rose, and I think it was the biography or some of that in the front of the book, and they're talking about when he was still an atheist and still struggling, and they talk about one point where he was like burning for God, right? Like, he was like he had this burning desire for Christ, and I get that now. Like, it's like when you get to a point where you're like, God, I need you. Like, I need this. Going to liturgy really opened it, because I was kind of there. I was on the threshold, and I went to liturgy, and I'm like, oh, now I get it.
Yeah,
like, I need this, because it changes you. It just going changes you fundamentally. It gives you something to look forward to the end of the week. Gives you structure. Gives you like, you start to eliminate other possibilities, right? Like, we're doing this, right? That's powerful, and it's powerful. Obviously, it's more powerful when you believe. But for anybody, I don't think any of these guys, I can speak as an atheist, never had that. It's just work to the weekend, right? It's Friday in the 4HL. Like, you can feel the pull of the weekend, right? But that meme is so popular and does something to you, because it's like, yeah, we're just like working to the weekend, so you can go abush, and then it's like, okay, then what? And you have kids, it's like, and then what is laundry? Maybe like a pizza night, and then like, doing stuff around the house, and then you're back into it. And that's just, you rinse and repeat. And I think that's where you get that nihilistic urge to either give up or burn it all down, because there's no, like, you can't just live for the weekend. Like, eventually that just gets boring. How many more times can you go to the pub? Like, how many more times can you get drunk? How many more times can you do this? How many more times can you do that? What's it doing? What's it building? What's the purpose? It's just, well, I got to put my money away to get my 401k so I can retire at 64. What? Shut up.
It was something I learned when I was listening to Lord of Spirits way back when I first encountered the church and was learning about it. And they talked about ritual. And growing up, very young Protestant, part of a very young Protestant denomination, ritual is a bad word. Ritual is like, oh, that's like witches and evil stuff. Yeah, ritual. You don't want ritual. And the way that the fathers on the podcast talked, they said everything you do is ritualized. Our entire lives are ritualized. If you think about the way you put your pants on, what is that? That's a ritual that you go through every single day, or your shorts, as the case may be. Every single day, you get yourself dressed. Like, think about when you get out of the shower. You have a ritual for how you dry yourself off. Everyone has their own little way of doing it, but you always grab the towel in the same way. You always dry in the same fashion, the same body parts in the same order. When you brush your teeth, you naturally are ritualized in the way you do it. Every single thing you do, even walking, is a ritual. You're ritually pacing through time and space in a rhythmic fashion. So every single thing you're already ritualized. Your whole life is already ritualized. The part of joining the church and beginning to incorporate the church into your life is beginning to be intentional about your rituals. You're performing rituals consciously and intentionally, because ultimately this goes to, I think, a lot of especially coming from the Protestant world, I didn't realize that Christianity had this element to it, this metaphysical element to it, that just is absent in the Protestant world. Just having been all in and around it for the majority of my life, it's not a conscious exclusion. It's a phronema. It's a phronema that just does not have this element to it whatsoever. The things that you do,
except that they still pray, right?
Right.
Prayer is metaphysics.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. And so the rituals that you undertake quite literally change you. As it not just the spiritual metaphorical, oh, it changed my life. But no, it rewires you genetically. It changes the composition of what constitutes you in space and time. So you can see this borne out in things like physiognomy. You can see, like, evil people who do evil things, it changes their physical appearance. Good people who do good things can be physically ugly, and they're just pleasant to look at. They glow. Even if they're, like, objectively, you would look at it and be like, oh, the nose is kind of big and they've got like hair in a weird spot or whatever. But you look at them and they're pleasant to look upon, and they have a pleasant vibe. That's because this is somebody who has developed really healthy, sustainable rituals that they've consciously pursued and engaged in on a regular basis. So the ritualized life of the church is it's giving you a framework to then build other healthy rituals on, because it's not like you're like, oh, I'm going to go become ritualized now. I'm going to go start partaking in these rituals. It's changing the rituals that you currently partake in to rituals that we have given to us from God. We have been given the assurance that the act of participating in these ritualized behaviors will quite literally purify you and begin to divinize you, because this is the way that you engage with God in reality, in time and space. So these are great gifts that have been given to us.
I think it was that episode where it dawned on me as well. So I came up with the phrase, "the ritual and reality are one," which we ritualize creates and substantiates a reality, and that reality then requires those rituals to be substantiated. So the example I would like to give is that if you zoom out far enough, Roman Catholics and Orthodox Catholics are the same, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the layperson, they do these rituals, they believe in Christ, right? Go to church, all these things. When you zoom closer and closer in, there's a massive amounts of difference. And the difference really is down to the rituals. So Orthodox Christians do things a certain way, Roman Catholics do it a certain way. And really comes down to what we ritualize, how we do things, which prayers we say, it's not just theological nitpicking. It's important because it actually gives you that kind of structure. It says, why is Orthodoxy not Roman Catholicism? Why is Roman Catholics not Orthodoxy, right? These things are important. And it's down, and most people don't understand the theological discussions. You can get into the Trinity and the Filioque and all that stuff, sure, right? But for the average practitioner, they don't understand all that, or they may have a loose idea of it. That doesn't matter. It's how you structure your life. and how you structure your life through these rituals inform your reality. So your reality, your phronema, let's say, your state of being, let's say if you're Orthodox Christian, is Orthodox Christian. And the highest, what you're really trying to do in many ways is to be Orthodox in all ways. So it informs all your decisions. It permeates you. So everything you do is done within the Orthodox phronema, in that worldview, that state of being. If you can get to that, well, then you still have to get to, you still have to model Christ, and there's still a long way to go. But that's, in my understanding of it, or the way I would put it, that's the royal path. Like, we all think we're on the royal path because we get baptized. We're all on the royal path because I read the saints, and I say the prayers. I'm like, yeah, well, yeah, you see the path, but being actually on the path is being Orthodox, or Roman Catholics will throw them a bone as being Roman Catholic. You got to be it. You can't just say it. It's got to, change the way you do things and say things and think things. Otherwise, it's like, you're just adding it on. Jason Marichuk, podcaster, father, Orthodox Christian. It's there. It's in the bio, right? But am I doing it? Am I modeling it? Am I able to essentially produce it? No. Well then, okay. Why don't you call yourself something else? It's easier. Pick the other one where you don't have to fast all the freaking time. It's
yeah. It was funny after. So obviously within the Orthodox Church and then within Roman Catholic Church as well, Lent is a time of fasting. It's a time of ritually choosing to engage in practices that are difficult, that are difficult to sustain, that you are constantly going to fail at. Every single year it comes around. Every single year everyone hits Lent and they're like, all right, here we go. Here's what I'm going to do. And then you get into the belly of Lent and you're like, oh my God, I suck. I'm terrible. I can never keep up with anything. I'm the worst.
I had a very good Lent actually this year, Matthew.
I'm describing a very good Lent. This is a very good Lent. And then, because then like by the time you get to Holy Week, you're like, okay, yeah, I'm getting it now. I'm starting to get that muscle memory. I'm getting better with it. And then the end of Holy Week, you have Pascha or Easter, and the fasting ends and the feasting begins. Mm-hmm. And I was talking with Cooper about this when we were up there, that it's very easy for us to kind of conceptualize the necessity of fasting as like a sacrament, as a sacramental behavior,
purification.
Yeah, but it's kind of hard to think of feasting in the same way. But in the same way that there's a time to fast, there also is a time to feast.
True.
And then when you feast, you ought to engage in the feast with as much passion and vigor as you engaged in the fast. And then there's especially in the Orthodox Church. I can't speak for my Catholic friends, but especially in the Orthodox Church, the Paschal feasts tend to be there's just incredible food, tons and tons of it, and lots of alcohol in my experience so far. We had after the Paschal service up in Michigan, there's a hermitage right next to the parish, and so the monks were there. And this is one of the times in the year, I don't remember if it's the only time during the year or if it's just one of the times during the year where the monks can actually really let loose. And we went outside. We were like talking, smoking cigarettes, kind of standing around, enjoying the night air. We went back inside and struck up a conversation with a couple of the monks and realized very quickly, they were very like coming over, giving us big hugs and like clasping our hands, and they were on top of the world. But
that's when you offered them the fireball. They're like, yeah,
yeah, right, fireball monks.
Jesus.
Yeah, my wife says we had 2 to 3 different briskets, a whole lamb, and multiple chickens smoked all day outside the church, and a keg. That's there you go. There's your.
I was talking to someone yesterday who's inquiring, and one thing I will say to folks, and this is something if you've been following me for a little bit and maybe following my voyage, and one thing that I've been doing wrong, keep this in mind. There's practices before you're baptized and practices after you're baptized. Okay, I have not been. I'm starting my catechism officially in May, and so who knows how long that's going to take. But regardless, if you're inquiring or you're seeking or you're whatever the term that you want to use with orthodoxy, be easy on yourself. Because I think that what happens is, especially with the online stuff, people see all this stuff. It happened to me, where I'm like, okay, I'm doing this stuff, right? I'm going in, like, I don't have a church father, don't have a spiritual father, don't have a priest, don't have a church, don't have anything. I have these books and these shows. I'm doing it. It's dangerous. So be careful, because it is spiritual warfare. You are going to be doing a lot of things that invite other elements into your life, and you need the church, and you need guidance, and you need all these other things. You need people praying with you to really maintain. So I'm not telling you not to fast. I'm not telling you not to observe. I'm not telling you to talk to your priest, whatever, right? But if you're just hanging out watching this stuff and going, well, I'll just start doing this and it'll be good, right? Like self-help, whatever. Like, don't do that. I can tell you from a personal experience, it's dangerous. Don't. Right? Like, take it easy, man. Like, fast on Wednesdays and Fridays. That's fine, because there's one fasting rule, and it depends on which particular church or what your priest might say. So again, this is not a steady rule, but one of the things is you can fast until 3, and then after 3 o'clock, you can eat what you need. So even if you do that, like that's intermittent fasting, right? That's the new thing. Do it like that, right? Practice. It's good to practice. It's good to do these things. But during the Great Lent and all that stuff, if you haven't been baptized, or if you're not an official catechumen, be gentle on yourself, because you take on a lot of this stuff willy nilly, and I think that's kind of the danger. Is if you don't attach this to actual spiritual warfare, you're in for trouble. Trust me.
Right. And when you begin doing the things that identify you as affiliated with the church, you're putting a spiritual target on your back. Right. You're becoming a combatant, and doing those things has, like, I'm thinking of when Christ said these things only come through prayer and fasting. Prayer and fasting as spiritual exercises they're changing you spiritually, and they're entering you into a spiritual domain that you are by definition very inexperienced in. So you don't know, you're going to get inundated with trials and temptations and stuff that you're not equipped to deal with. So, and then part of the discipline of becoming Orthodox and being Orthodox is submitting yourself to the direction of your spiritual father, whether that makes sense to you or not, or whether it's what you want to hear or not. There is a discipline to simply submitting. This person has authority over me. I've submitted myself to their authority. I've committed, I've vowed that I'm going to be submitted to their authority. And so what they tell me to do, I'm obligated to do. And if it was wrong for them to tell me to do that, that falls on them. They're the ones who will have to give an account for that. But my responsibility is to be submitted to them. And that principle applies fractally throughout. You're talking about with respect to your government, or with children with respect to their father, or a son with respect to his father, wives with respect to husbands. That pattern exists all over the place. The church is the place that, like, retains that tradition, so that genetic memory can persist.
Now, there are obviously caveats to that, right? Like, if your spiritual father is doing something that you is wrong, right? Like obviously, like, don't believe in Christ, believe in this guy. Like, okay,
right.
Right. And I'm using something extreme, but you get my point. Like, there are points where you can look at a situation and go, okay, it's this. I don't know what's wrong with this, or I'm not sure about this, but this obviously is not correct. I'm gonna at least get advice from somebody else, right? There are plenty of good reasons for doing that, but generally speaking, like, if you don't understand something and you're day one, yeah, you don't understand it. And like Matt said, it's on them, right? It's on your priest, it's on your spiritual father to be instructing you correctly. So don't worry too much about that or how it's going to affect your ever living soul, whatever. But yeah,
a couple interesting stories kind of related to that. One, when we first started attending the parish that we're at, I was talking to one of the girls there who's been in part of the church for a while, and she said during Lent, I'll get the approximate details of both of these stories correct. I don't remember the specifics, but approximately during Lent, there was a parishioner who was going real hard on the rigor of fasting and getting kind of uppity and judgy with other people for not keeping to the fast rigorously enough. And I guess a little bit of context within the Orthodox Church, the typical practice is that if you're going to be receiving the liturgy on say Sunday morning, if you're going to be receiving communion on Sunday morning at the liturgy, that you fast after either 10 p.m. or 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. So you're fasted for the whole morning up until you actually receive. And then during Lent, of course, you're not eating meat or cheese or many of these things based on the normal Lenten prescriptions. So this person was being very uppity about the fasts. And on a Sunday morning during Lent, they got to the parish, and the priest took them into the trapeza hall and sat them down at a table, and they had a beer and a cheeseburger. And the priest said, "Eat this before receiving communion." And of course, so it was a the priests have this authority. They have economia. They can decide, in this case here, the actual strict keeping of the fast. If you're doing it for the sake of your own pride, then your pride needs to be taken down a notch, because that's the real core issue. A related one, Cooper was just telling me about this. I don't remember the exact people who were involved, but it was the structure of the story was you had an old monk, very old monk, who I think he was a novice or a lower order, and he was in the habit of he would eat his meal Sunday morning right before the liturgy, right before he received communion. And the reason he gave for this was that he couldn't imagine putting more food in his mouth after receiving the body and blood of Christ. It was unconscionable to him. But this is, of course, an egregious violation of his vows. This is not okay to be doing this. And so he was going to have to be punished for it. So the archimandrite called him in and said, this he's going to have a talking to with him. So the old man kind of comes walking in, can't see very well, blind, kind of bent over, pulls his cloak off and hangs his cloak up, and then goes and sits down and says, yes, Father, what can I do? And the archimandrite's looking at him, and he looked over and realized the old man doesn't see very well. So when he went to hang his cloak up on the hook, he completely missed the hook, and he hung it up on a beam of light that was shining through the window. And the archimandrite saw that and was like, "Okay, I understand.
Actually, we're good. We're good.
Yep,
we're good.
You're totally fine. This is above my pay grade. As you were, brother monk."
Yeah, I mean, the thing to keep, I think, in mind, we were talking about ritual and realities and all these things, even economia. There's a lot of rules that have been developed, either given strictly through revelation or have been developed through the church, because you're dealing with a lot of different people across. The liturgy has to remain the same. A lot of these constants have to remain the same, and they do change. The flavor changes, let's say, from Russians to Serbians to whatever. So you have to have a standard, and the standard, like even fasting, right? The actual fasting rule, and some people kind of balk, why olive oil, but that was a standard set up because they realized at some point in the early church that everyone was just kind of making up their own thing, and they're like, okay, look, here's the one that seems to work across the board that everyone understands, because people get hung up on the food styles. One, it's to eat nothing of man, so nothing with a spine in it, right? That's one of the big things. But the other thing is also just like it's nourishing, right? You're supposed to almost denourish yourself, to live off of only what will keep you alive. But you're not supposed to take any. It's addressing passions. So you're basically trying to procure yourself of the passions, death to the world, right? The world is the passions. We're bringing death to it. So during fast, whether it be on a Wednesday or Friday or Lent or anything like that, any fasting period, you're really supposed to be at war with your passions, clearing yourself of it. And you might say, well, why is a boiled egg sandwich part of the passions? It's like, don't ask questions.
Right. Because the other thing you're practicing as well is unqualified submission to the church. So it's like, well, why are the fasting rules what they are? They are what they are. They are what they are because the church said that's what they are. And you're practicing submission to the church. So if the church decided that the fasting rules were going to be something different, then you would practice submission to whatever the different thing was, which is why the priest has that authority to be able to say, for you, your fasting rules are going to be different. And you're going to submit to these different fasting rules, either on a single case or a broader basis, because the representative of the church, who you is your primary authority in your connection to the church, they've said this is what it's going to be, and this is a spiritual principle of submission to spiritual authority, to submission to the hierarchy, simply because it is the hierarchy.
I'm going to jump out for a quick smoke.
Okay, actually, you know what? I think I hate to do this to the people, but I'm floating over here. So let's take a brief 90-second intermission, and we will be right back. And I've got some super chats to go through.
Good.
So we'll be right back, folks. I thought there was a legitimate possibility that he would be able to smoke a cigarette in less time than I could empty my bladder, because I've never seen someone blow through cigarettes as fast as he does. Of course, I smoke American Spirits, which are notoriously slow burners, and then he rolls his own. So I would imagine that he's going to be back here very shortly. Straight Buster says both dads left to buy cigarettes. Well, one of them's back. Okay, we've got some definitely got some super chats to catch up on here, and we will do the we get to do our racism game here shortly because we hit the goal, the super chat goal. So thank you very much to those of you who have contributed. I want to hold off on reading this one until Jason gets back. This one from Jonathan Hemingway, because I think there's a good conversation to be had in this. And there he is. He has returned. Straight Buster said both dads left to buy cigarettes.
Right. We'll be back. Don't worry about
it. Yeah, right. Okay, super chat. Jonathan Hemingway, $5. He says, explain the difference between culture and civilization. I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same either. I would say so the way that I've used these terms when we talk about civilization in the context of the civil frame, the way I've used it, you can tell me if you differ, Jason. Culture is a kind of, I see it as kind of a generic term, that there is culture is sort of like the ethos of a given polity, and for better or for worse, it's kind of a neutral term. And you could rhetorically use phrases like uncultured or low culture or whatever, but you kind of get the idea. But a culture, I see it as just sort of the water that everyone swims in within a given polity. Civilization is a particular expression of culture that you might say like high culture, or if you referred to somebody as being cultured, you might be able to use it that way rhetorically. But that's the way that I would differentiate them. And you could get into more about what civilization actually is, but does that jive with you?
I think in the modern sense, like sort of word fallacy, kind of culture has become the liberal frame term for tradition, because tradition, you can't talk about tradition, right? Tradition bad, far right, spooky. But that's all culture. The way we use culture today is essentially just means tradition. Like, Italians have a tradition of making pasta this certain way, right? That's your culture. Now, whether there's a higher form of culture, I think you could also apply culture to, let's say, subreddits, right, of civilization. So in civilizational capital thing that I was working on, or I'll keep working on this year as well, you basically have this thing called regio, which kind of like binds the civilization. When I'm saying that it's composed of three parts: a region, which includes people, a ruler, government, right, and a religion. And you need those three things in order to hold the civilization together. Mm-hmm. Then you have three other categories, which is economic, social, and political. And these categories then have all the other branches off that. And these are what generates civilizational capital. So you have human capital, right, which is generated when human beings do anything competently. Competence creates capital. So so the example I like to give is, like, imagine a little fishing village on the Adriatic. They get really good at fishing. They produce this capital of competency towards fishing, and then it applies to all the other things: boats, making boats and fishing nets and marketing and all the rest of it. And you apply that human capital over long enough time, and you get the Portuguese or something like it. So it starts from something small and gets into something much more complex. And it's that steady reinvestment of human capital into this thing that grows into a civilization. But again, it has to be held together by this regio. People have to have a religion that gives them their moral framework, their context, all the rest of it. They need a ruler. They need a steady sense of who's in charge and what the civic structure is going to be. And they need a region. They need a defined region of, this is our land, and the people who live on this land are called this, and we are these people. Whether or not we let other people associate with it, or what immigration and all that stuff is secondary. There has to be a primacy of understanding of who we are and where we are. When you degrade those categories and you again bring in primal frame or even liberalism begins to liberate people from these categories. It destroys the regio. And when the regio is eliminated, well, then all these other categories, the economic, social, and political, start to go to war with each other. They start to cannibalize each other, because those categories produce capital, but they need to bring it up. The capital needs to be invested into these other bigger categories. Otherwise, it's meaningless. It's just like you're just making stuff to make stuff. You're just making movies to make movies. What's the point? Well, I don't know. They're fun. Like, okay, cool. But there's got to be a purpose. The good, the beautiful, the true is maybe the purpose. But again, that's enshrined in the regio. So without that binding agent, things begin to fall apart and do their own thing. So in terms of what that means for culture or for tradition, I think the people produce this culture and tradition that falls into the social capital kind of category. It informs them, it delights them, it produces the good, the beautiful, true. It does all these things, but it's meaningless without that regio. It within a civil frame, you have to be building it towards that thing. So Nona's pasta isn't just Nona's pasta. It grounds you into who you are, why we are, what our history is, what our future will be. Like, if you're saying, well, we are Italian because of penne, that sounds stupid, but that's what it is, right? Like, and it's not that you're only Italian because of penne, but penne is part of being Italian, and you can't separate those things. Those things are combined. It's why, like I said, the ritual and reality are one, right? If you zoom out far enough, the French and the Italians are basically the same, right? If you compare all the big block notes, they're the same. You zoom in, radically different. Why? Well, they have little tiny rituals. Their bread's different. They do this different. They understand Roman Catholicism differently or whatever, right? Like all these little tiny differences create two different sets of people that might share in a civil frame. They both are trying to build civilizations, but those civilizations are not the same. And this is why whenever time you try to mush things, it's a Tower of Babel. Why the Tower of Babel always fails? You're trying to mush everyone and eradicate those differentiations. It doesn't work. People lose sense of identity. They don't adopt this new identity because this new identity doesn't mean anything. It's like, yeah, but where's the penne? But seriously, and that erosion always has the same effect. People just begin to reject it. It's why big giant global empires never really work. Well, the Romans didn't work, and the British Empire didn't work, and all this other stuff, because you can't export Britishness to people who don't identify as British. Everyone might like freaking what is it? What's the thing where they play not croquet, cricket? Yeah, okay. So they all play cricket. So they're British, right? Do you think there might be other things that are prerequisite for British? Because obviously, like India, they have a great cricket team. Apparently, they're one of the best. They're still clogging up toilets on airplanes, right? British people don't do that, generally speaking. Or if they do, there's something wrong with them. Like they get pulled to the side. What are you doing, right? It's again, it doesn't just transfer by. I think, and that's the thing. The liberal mindset. This is why we've distilled it down to culture, because we think, well, we can just export culture. Culture is like a product that a mimetic product. We give you the culture, and if you become cultured enough, you'll just think and work this way. You'll want what we want because the culture informs your desires. That's not how it works. The culture is part of it, but it's not. But people are never going to let go of their own culture. They can't. It's ingrained in them from birth. It's pre-memory. They can't get rid of it. So you can try all you want. They're going to just default to it.
Thinking about this, the regio, you have your religion, you have your king, and you have your location. And the role of the king, I think this would be the proper order. You have the king, who is the personal embodiment of the religion. This is like the symphonia between the church and the state, where the head of state is himself submitted to the church. The head of state has a spiritual father, and his goal, his responsibility is to be a saint. So is to occupy his role as the head of state and to behave in a saintly manner. Then he becomes he's the father of the nation. He is the type that we're all, that manifests the archetype, that becomes the ordering principle of that nation. Mm-hmm. And within the Great Commission, Christ directed the apostles to go out take the gospel to every tribe and nation and tongue and people. And as you can see, is borne out by the actual practice of the apostles. The idea wasn't that you would go take this like Christian ideology and supplant all the other national identities with this big congealed central identity. That's actually that's the liberal spin on Christianity, and why I think liberalism is actually a Christian heresy. It's like a derivative Christian heresy, because it's masquerading as Christian. It's using the Christian sort of superstructure to try to actually invert the principle of Christianity, which the nation is a unique, distinct, precious expression of a particular people. And true Christianity, properly applied at the national level, actually manifests the character of that people, which is, again, consolidated in the person of the leader of the people, who is the father. Like, as a child looks to his father and sees himself in his father, and the father looks to his child and sees himself in his child, this is the relationship between the king and his people. And this is why, then, incidentally, a lot of people, they come to Orthodoxy and say, they're like, well, what's the difference between all the different denominations, is typically what they ask. And, because you see Romanian Orthodox and Greek Orthodox and Serbian Orthodox and Russian Orthodox and Greek, and I already said that, all the different Orthodox, quote unquote, denominations. Well, they're all Orthodox individually. They're all Orthodox, but they are the national expression of Orthodoxy. So each broad nation has their own expression of the church. It's still the church. It still is a direct descendant of the tradition of the church. They can go through the whole apostolic succession and trace each single priest at every single parish can trace their lineage back to the apostles. But it's being expressed through the culture of that individual nation.
It comes down to prayer too. So if you're Rokor, right? Like, I'm saying a Rokor parish here, you pray not just to your hierarchs, to the bishops, and to other people within the Rokor association, but you're praying for Russia and the Russian military. And I know that makes people go, ooh, right? But like, it's part of that system. And you could maybe say, well, why aren't you just praying for everyone? Why are you praying for these individual people and not just pray for everybody? Just, it's because there's a hierarchy of prayer. Like, so we're offering prayers to those higher than us. And we do. I can't speak for everyone, every parish, but in the standard liturgy, there's an ascendance, right? Like, you do start praying for, you can throw in, your firefighters. You can throw in like everybody, you expand it out. But it goes up and then out. It's not just out. So it's not just pray, because you could simplify the prayer. Like, let's just pray for everyone blessed, and move on with your day. But there's a structure to it, and the structure is purposeful. And I'm not a big enough theologian to explain it all, because I don't even understand it. But I do understand that the structure is there on purpose, and it's to give you that, I think. So we're talking about this regio thing. It is that recognition of those. It's not really higher, right? It's a recognition of authority, and who has authority in different domains. So we pray for the military because they have authority in that domain, is to defend the nation. So again, it's that regio idea, that region. So you have to have a region. You have to have it. That's why, why denominations? Because Russians have a region called Russia, and Romanians have a region called Romania, and they have a people who are called Romanian, and the people called Russian, and this connection to the land and identity of history and a region itself, people draw strength from it. Mm-hmm. They draw their actual identity and sense of being from it, separate of the church. Just if the church isn't even there, like, you need that. Like, the nation state is like that whole idea. Like, well, just forget about the church. We'll just concentrate on the nation, which again is like, okay, so in the Reggio idea, now we're hyper focused on the region and we're excluding the religion. Well, that's where things begin to tumble.
Because the religion is within the context of the Christian church, it is the civilizing function. So right. you have the primal. I think the way I've thought about this, and you can tell me if you've been conceiving this differently, but the way I've thought about this is that a primal culture or a primal frame is sort of it's like an immature civilization. It's the progression from primal to civil is a maturation process. It's the child to adult. A civil frame is present in a culture that has had time to substantiate itself, and it's developed the tradition in an orderly fashion, and the church becomes the grounding function that allows for the preservation of tradition happening on a daily, on a weekly, on a monthly, on a yearly basis, constantly. That the church is planted within the culture, whatever that local region, and it becomes the catalyzing function through which the rest of the culture revolves around it and begins to be expressed through the context of the church. And it's a maturing process for that given cultural expression or that given local tribe. And so the church is not there to eliminate the nations and the tribes and the tongues, because we know from Revelation that they exist at the end of time. The church is actually the thing that gives life to that nation, that actually instantiates it and brings it to its fullest expression in the world.
I've been working on this idea, and this is something I would rather want to bring to someone like Jay Dyer or someone like that, or someone like that. But my thinking, my intuitions on these things is a presence or non-presence of the Trinity, and I think the Trinity goes all the way back. So it was being expressed even before people had the word for it. I think it was present in Egypt. I think it's certainly present in Greece. Certainly, and the Romans are aping Greece. They're LARPing Greece. They're bringing the Trinity into the Roman civilization. So I think the Trinity, in one way, shape, or another, is always present in civilizations, even ones Babylon or something like that. Again, I'm not an expert, so I'd have to, or maybe it's present in an inverted form. I don't know, right? But it's something that's been bugging me for a while now, and I think the Trinity is the key. It's like the key of keys. So where it's present, civilization can flourish, can happen. Where it's not present, or where it's inverted or subverted or rejected or added upon or screwed with, civilization either collapses or can't even start. The Trinity has to be present.
There is a Trinitarian structure to reality. You can even see it in like in a word. What does a word have? A word has the actual word itself. It has the breath, the voice that spoke the word, and it has the mind that it originated from. There's your little Trinity.
Yeah, the family, right? Father, mother, child. So in my work with the vengeful son, it's like this. Here's now you have the inversion. So let's say the proper set: wise father, divine mother, or merciful mother, and prodigal son gets inverted to tyrannical father, devouring mother, and vengeful son. Right? They're the inverted categories of the rightful set. Well, one of the things that we talk about in Orthodoxy is how the family creates a trinity, and there's actually sort of almost a monastery within the family, right? Where the father's a priest, the mother is, these categories aren't just words; they're offices. So the office of the father, the office of the mother, and the office of the child all have different duties and responsibilities. Here's the interesting thing, and this is a new thought I've been having. The office of the child, because now we're into the vengeful son, prodigal son era. The office of the child is the only one that both the father and the mother have direct connection to. So think about it this way. We're born into the office of the child, set of responsibilities and duties. As we mature out of the child to adulthood. In the proper sequence, let's say, we go from child to husband or wife, and from husband and wife we go to father and mother. So the child, but the thing that I think people miss on is that we never stop being the child. We always are the child to our parents. We always have duties and responsibilities. In fact, as we enter the church, right, we now have a spiritual father. We are his child.
Yep.
We were his spiritual child.
Yep.
We now have duties and responsibilities. And in much case, they're the exact ones. Obedience, right? Respect to your elders. You can carry that child responsibilities to anyone who's doesn't have to be a direct relationship to you, right? Anyone who's older, who holds a position of that, you just give them authority.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
So the office of the child and the duties and responsibilities present in the child are with us until the end. It never goes away. It just gets built upon. So the office of the husband, let's say when the child grows up and becomes a husband or a wife, well, now they have a new set of duties and responsibilities. My daughter just came in. That just adds on to the duties of the child. In many ways, they're the same, but they're just more advanced because now you have a responsibility to your spouse.
Well, this is why we're called sons of God.
Right. And then as you become, when you become a parent, right, the office of the father and the office of the mother, again, change. There's a new set of stuff or a new set of responsibilities and duties. But again, it's just built upon the previous set. So this is, I think, where we get into, if you get the Trinity wrong, you get it all wrong, because this is not flowing from, it's not like it's all going back to source, right? That's why the father, mother, child creates an internal Trinity. But we can think of the child, and I'm being careful here because maybe I'm getting into deep water where I shouldn't be, but the office of the child is almost like the office of the father, right? In the father of the Trinity, right? It all comes from there. And then splits off, right? So, because obviously we're dealing with, husband, wife, mother, father, right? Two separate things, two different persons, but they come from one office, one shared office. So the absolute danger that we're in right now, spiritually, with the vengeful son, is so you have the triangle father. So it's inverting the office and degrading the office of the father, masculinity. But that's only expressed with men. Now it affects everything, but it's really dealing with the men. We've gone through 60 years of inversion of the mother, right? From the nurturing, divine mother to the devouring mother. It's affected everyone and everything, but it's primarily geared towards women. Now the inversion is going after the office of the child. Well, the office of the child is for everyone, everything. It's the one thing we all have been or are currently, right? It's primacy.
Oh, who is the archetypal child? Christ. So what's the inversion of the child?
So again, with the vengeful son thing, it's not just it's going to feel good and just. It's going to do the final inversion. It's much later than you think. That's where my mind's been for the last little bit.
There's
recently because I've been putting this together, and I was on Will Spencer's show, and I kind of was kind of working the idea, and on his show, it kind of clicked. I'm like, if you think of these things as offices, and you think of these things as directions, right? But yet the office of the child is the one that holds it all together, because both man and woman, husband and wife, mother and father have been the child.
Well, and the presence of the child also is what indicates like a passage of time. The child is the future. You have the eternally begetting father.
The future and the past. It's the child is your future as you get married. Well, again, we're talking the traditional sense. You're getting married to have children. So it is your future, but it's also where you came from.
So so the inversion of the office of the child is the destruction of both past and future.
It creates permanent now. Because there can be no future without children. There is no past without children. So to make you question all of childhood, right? Where you came from, where you're going, the whole purpose of everything is the office of the child.
Which, and if you detach from, for skepticism or nihilism or cynicism or whatever, you detach from your past and from your future, then you get trapped in the eternal now. Then you've lost what makes you you. You've lost your humanity. You've lost your identity, because your identity is an expression of where you came from and where you're going. Without those, you cease to be human. You cease to be a person. You may be biologically human, but you are not a person. This is the thing that Jay Dyer really like clicked for me, was talking about how our theology begins with the person of God the Father. Because you have the person of God the Father, eternally begetting and eternally spirating, eternally begetting the Son and eternally spirating the Spirit. There's your Trinity. And then there's, at every stage down, you find another Trinity that's modeled on that same relationship. So you have the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Then you'd have the Son, the bishop, and the priest. You have the bishop, the priest, and the deacon. You have the priest, the deacon, and the layman, or you could say the reader. Then you have the Father, the Son, and the Father, the Mother, and the Son. You have this same Trinity that is all properly aligned when it is all directed at the personhood of the Father. That's like the catalyst that makes everything snap into proper order. But if you and then that's the source of life. That's the source of life. That's the source of personhood. That's the apotheosis of humanity is divinity. But then if you invert that, then you're taking humanity away from divinity, but you're also taking humanity away from humanity, because humanity's fullest expression is in the divinity of the Son, the icon of the Father. We become icons of the Son, and in turn become icons of the Father. And that's what begets the logos of the universe is human. That's what begets our actual humanity. So to invert that and to take the relationship, the Son-Father relationship, and set them at enmity with one another is equivalent to the destruction of humanity.
This attached certain characteristics to it briefly. If you think of the office of the father, I'm talking mortal father, your dad, and mom, kid, okay? Let's say the truth resides in the office of the dad. The beauty resides in the office of the mother. And the good resides in the office of the child. Innocence, right? What's the one thing we all agree about children? No matter where you are, no matter what, why do you show images of dead kids in war or something like that, or the starving kids in Africa and stuff? It's innocence. Good. Innocence equals good. No one disagrees. Or no one sane disagrees. Absolute good. Innocence. Why we care about animals, all this stuff.
And truth and beauty together beget goodness.
Right. So we've inverted truth. We've inverted beauty. Again, why the feminine pragmatism destroys romanticism. Why we have ugly gray boxes instead of beautiful banks and McDonald's or whatever, right? So we've inverted the truth. We believe in lies. It's the empire of lies, but it's been based off of from the start of the 20th century to 1950. All the lies were substantiated. And then we're inverting beauty for the last 60 years, and now we're going to invert good. So our sense of good, what is righteous, what is justice, will be eliminated, and the pull will be towards vengeance.
The vengeance masquerading as justice. Yeah. So it's the pursuit of evil under the guise of the pursuit of good.
Right. And because these things are being inverted, what we're gonna consider good, our children, our what sets in motion is that. And then, look, there's tons of quotes. I won't even try to find all of them. There's tons of quotes, Dostoevsky and otherwise. Whereas this is the final inversion, where a good man will be considered evil because everyone has inverted themselves into evil, and evil will now become good because we've destroyed all our categories. This is the final liberation away from good. Because again, the adversary doesn't care. Doesn't care how he gets you.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't care what he gets you on. It's one thing that I remember having a knee-jerk anti-reaction when I think it was Cyprian and Father Turbo said, the troons and stuff are a trap. And a reaction to them is a trap. And I was like, I had my feelings. And it took me a while. Really only the last year. I'm like, yeah, no, it is a trap. That is a trap. Because the adversary doesn't care. He'll get you pro or anti. Excite those passions, make you feel real upset about things, and then you react. Because the ultimate aim here, well, there's an ultimate aim, but the mechanism to get you to that end point is despair. That's why it's the merchants of despair. Why they trade in despair. They have all this money, all this power, they could be doing so many things with it. And what do they do? Slavery, modern day slavery, drug trafficking, wars, and these are rich, powerful people, and they're engaged in this behavior and they're engaged in these things. Why? Like, why? There's no damn good reason. We're not talking like 1,000 years ago opium trade. No, I'm talking like 2025. Absolutely no good reason for it. But that's what they do because they're hooked on it. And then the only way I could make it make sense to me, other than it's evil and demons and 100%. But it's because it's the despair that gets them off. They like the despair. They want you to feel hopeless, and the more they can create that and do things that make you feel hopeless, the better.
And what makes you, this is the power of repentance, because what makes you despair more than being induced into doing something that permanently stains your soul and then realizing you can't undo that.
Yeah,
inducing you into acting in pursuit of your passions, and then you despair over the fact you have perhaps a post-nut clarity of sorts. And you have that dawning realization, this horrible thing that I did. I felt fully justified in doing it, but now I've done this horrible thing, and there's no coming back for me. I've permanently stained myself. And the notion that we are commanded to confess and repent is an implicit acknowledgement that we are going to need to confess and repent. So the fact that you've done something, the merchants of despair want you to believe that you do the thing and you're stuck. There's no turning back. Mm-hmm. You have to go deeper and deeper into despair because the only way out is through, or something like that. But the power of repentance is that there is a place where you can go, where you can confess and you can repent, and then you can participate in the rituals of purification.
You can be redeemed.
Yes.
And as you are being redeemed in the process of redemption, which will last your whole entire life, you'll never fully be redeemed in that sense for the vast majority of us. I'll just say us, right? Mm-hmm. Period. The point is not to get to a final point of redemption, is to constantly be in the state of redemption. And as you are in that state of redemption, you begin to redeem the world around you. This is why I was saying that it hit me in the first year of my daughter's life that I had spent more time with my daughter because of COVID and all the rest of it than my natural father, my birth father, whatever term you want to give him, had done with my entire life. And in that one sense, I redeemed him because he had to exist in order for me to exist. In fact, him not being the world's greatest father or not being absent instantiated in me the desire to not do that. So the way I raise my daughter, and I'm not perfect, I'm not saying I'm whatever, but I'm trying. I'm trying real hard. Because I have the other thing on the other side. And so as I move into periods of redemption, as I'm trying to repent, as I'm trying to change myself, as I'm trying to transform and live a better life and be a better person in all ways, it's that I have to thank him. I redeem him and his failures or whatever by being better. And passing that on, hopefully, to my child, like, and now be better than me. Ain't hard. look at my history. My goodness.
Then that's like the ultimate white pilling meta. That I think that is the antidote to despair. Seeing that fact, that reality that plays out over and over and over again. The what you meant for evil, God turned into good. You can see this in the political sphere. I don't remember who I was talking to about this, but you had the presence of the FDR regime has created all of these excesses and externalities and whatever that have seeded the demand for the ultimate overthrow of the FDR regime.
Mm-hmm.
There's this natural feedback loop that occurs at all levels of reality, where the presence, the existence of something evil or disordered or imbalanced, you can look at the presence of that thing as, oh, this is so bad, I can't believe that such a thing would exist. Reality must suck. Or you can recognize that its very presence spawns the reaction to eliminate it.
Mm-hmm.
There is this natural mechanism that's built into the fabric of reality that you can tap into that. You can recognize it, and you can and this means also there's no reason to be black-pilled or to doom out about stuff, because the presence of evil, this is the thing I think a lot of people had really hit them during COVID, was they were confronted with astonishing evil that they weren't remotely equipped to confront. And it sparked an impulse in them that if something that evil exists, good must exist. There must be something good out there, which sort of rattles you out of this Fukuyama brain lib end of history, like relativist soup, where like in order to get people to yearn for the good again, sometimes they have to see the evil. And God allows the evil to exist. He allows the evil to be made present to us, because that's the thing that it sparks that moment of suffering that inclines you back to him again.
Well, something I've said, and I've garnered certain criticism for it, and I just want to be very, very clear. Some of the things I came up with, like Vengeful Son and whatever, I said this to you, I think directly, is that this isn't coming from me. Like this is from without me. Like I'm not smart enough to put this together. It's just like it literally came all at once, sort of, or it seemed to come all at once. And I don't ever want anyone to think that I'm a prophet or this is what I'm declaring. I'm saying this is available to everyone, right? Like it's some of us are gonna click on it. I put it together and I put the words together, but the thing that's happening is happening, and we all feel it, all of us. To the point where, and I've noticed this happening, you say Vengeful Son and people lean forward. Right? What's that? Because they feel it.
Yep.
They know it's true. So I'm just telling you a weather pattern. Like I'm just putting the words together. Nothing special about me. But because I just want to be very clear, because I've gotten some static on the things that I was like, whoa. Just understand where I'm coming from. I'm not taking on any airs. But the awareness of that thing, the fact that I can be aware of it, and other people, as soon as I put the words together, are aware of it and they understand it. They might disagree on particulars, but the thing that I'm just describing is a thing. Well, we're being given that. We've been given that awareness of a thing. It's not you. You didn't generate it. I didn't generate it. The noose has been cleared for a second. I just saw something. But I'm just seeing what we're all feeling. We're all feeling it. So the fact that we can be aware of it gives me absolute hope. Because who the heck am I? Some weirdo with a missing tooth living in Australia. A guy who hates the beach living in a beach town. I'm full of contradictions. But it's absurd. It's silly. But if I'm putting something together, or me and other people, or maybe other people are using different words, fine. But if there's an awareness of that thing, that means we can do something about it. It's not hopeless. If it was really hopeless, we wouldn't be aware of it. We'd just be going on with our life. And it's Friday in the 4HL. You can feel the pull of the weekend, and that would be it. That would be all it would be. Right. So people get, because I think when you hear this stuff, it's natural to go, oh, it's all doom and gloom, and might as well give up. It's like, no, this is the clearest indication that we fight. We just got to fight the right fight. And the fight isn't between us. Ephesians 6:12. Where we're fighting something, we're fighting not flesh and blood, we're fighting the darker powers. So an awareness of how it materializes in the world is good. And we can, even when I talk about City of London and all that stuff, I don't want to create this spooky scapegoat. Oh, they're responsible for everything. They're responsible for everything. But they're insurmountable. Ooh. No, they punch themselves in the dick all the time. We're watching them do it all the time. We didn't get to Ukraine stuff, but they make mistakes, like critical, horrible, stupid mistakes. COVID was just like, what, dude?
Missing Trump.
Yeah, you did the worst thing possible because you freaked out. You didn't,
and it's like if you're building a disordered system, then time is against you, because we live in an ordered universe, and invariably, the construction of a disordered system will presage its own deconstruction. So they're disordered, they're evil, they're pathological. Inevitably, they're going to be retarded.
Well, do you hear the new one, right? Do you see the new headline where they're going? This Keir Starmer's going to go ahead with Bill Gates' idea of blocking out the sun over England.
Oh, because that's the problem with England. It has too much sun.
And there was, right. And there was there's like one guy on a panel who's like, well, this could kill like tens of thousands of people, right? We don't know. And I understand, like, you're putting it against like climate change, which could kill millions. I know, right? But we should. There is a moral implication here, and the rest of the panel is like, nah, no, we have to do it. We have to. We need
to get our beloved Euro bros out of Europe. It is going to be such a shit show.
Again, though, maybe it's a necessary suffering. Yeah, maybe it's a suffering that's been long overdue.
Yeah. Let me catch up on some of the super chats here real quick. Yeah. You got 5 Brazilian real from loyal listener and friend of the show, and what is he a Miran Chad? Miran Chud? Miran Chuckle?
Oh, Miran Chad. He's a Miran Chad.
He's a Miran Chad. Okay, yeah. So Mr. CG Constantine, Miran Chad says, I am silent, but I am listening. Well, you're not too silent, because you told us that you're silent. A performative contradiction.
Aha.
A tease for Jason's forthcoming show. $10 from Alexander M. He said, there are church fathers who speak of it being right and good to pity people. To pity can be to act on your sympathy sincerely. To pity has become vehemently mocked in our merchant culture. God bless. That's a very good point. There is a place for pity. It's actually I think the war on pity is an expression of pride, because you don't want to be thought as pitiable. So if you are pitiable, then you actually want to eliminate the concept of pity, so that people don't pity you, so that you don't see yourself as pitiable.
I think the word concept fallacy there is that how we use kindness now, I think, is closer to the traditional form of pity.
Yeah.
Right. To kindness from the German, like Kinder, like of my people.
Right.
So to extend you a kindness is to treat you like I would treat my family or my tribe, my people.
Yeah.
Even though you are not. And I feel like pity has that same sort of emotional root, right? To if I pity you, I'm extending you a kindness. I'm because I wouldn't feel bad for someone who's outside my tribe who's screwing up. I'm like, oh, well, don't hang out with that guy, right? But to extend any emotional context to that person is a kindness. Is literally, I'm feeling for you what I would normally only feel for my family.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I have it's like I have a spiritual kinship with you. I have a biological kinship with my family, and I don't have that biological kinship with you, yet I'm still feeling for you as if you are my family. So it's a recognition of a spiritual connection existing where the biological one doesn't.
Okay, read your super chats. I got to deal with a munchkin for a second.
Okay, yes. Let's see here. We got a $10 super chat from Mr. Ian Carroll. He says, Ethnogesser Gibbs, please. Miranchuk, would you rather wear manly shorts or mesh pants? Well, we'll have to come back to that one so that so he can answer that as soon as he gets back from dealing with the munchkin. There was another super chat down here, I think. Austin Trees, $5. He says, how many didgeridoo bucks is this? I don't know, actually. Well, the man who would know is not present. Let's do this here. Let's say how much is 5 USD in Australian dollars? $7.83. So $5 is $7.83. Wow. So it is great for Jason to have a to have a US based audience because that exchange rate works out very well for him. Thank you, Austin Trees, for the super chat. And then channel membership gift from Hermetica Gemini, and our lucky recipient, new member of the King Pilled, is David Atlas. Welcome, David Atlas, to the King Pilled. Do me a favor and hit the like button, folks. We are winding down here. We just have to get Mr. Jason Miranchuk back here so we can take our racism exam. We've got to practice, see how effective or insightful of racists we are. So as soon as he gets back, we'll do that. And then I think I had a couple other things I thought we might talk about today, but we will hold off for next week. This Network Armageddon Electric Boogaloo is going to be a weekly occurring show now between Jason and I. It'll be just like what you guys experienced today. Probably a couple hours worth of talk on whatever piques our fancy. I'll make sure I have a few things to kick us off, and it worked out pretty well today. I had a whole bunch of other things too that we didn't get to, but means we have more to talk about in the future. It'll probably be a little less current events focused than either his show with Jim Jatras or my Astrolabe is, but we'll probably use current event stuff as a jumping off point. Next week, I think I just telling the people we're going to do our racism exam here, and then we'll wrap it up today.
Yep.
There was a super chat question for you, Ian Carroll. He said he gave us our 5th of the 5 super chats for the goal, and it said, Ethnogesser Gibbs, please. Miranchuk, would you rather wear manly shorts or mesh pants?
Neither. I would just reject both options.
He doesn't play your games, Ian Carroll.
Yeah, no. But it's a hypothetical. But it's a hypothetical. So hypothetically accept my no. I'm hypothetically saying no.
Hypothetically grab my nuts.
Yeah, hypothetically kiss my ass. I don't know.
Okay, so let's do his non-answer concession. Let's do our.
It is an answer. You can accept it or not. I'm hypothetically rejecting your hypothetical. Okay. Fractals.
Woo. Okay. Woo. Have you played Ethnogesser at all?
No.
Are you familiar with it at all?
I am familiar.
Okay, so let's play our daily game. So what we're going to do is we have to take the appearance of these fine folks here and figure out approximately where this phenotype originates from.
I would say like Greece, Armenian, something, some of them that Mediterranean, yada yada.
Yeah, looks. Let's say
The women are always easier, I think, in some ways.
Yeah, they are. I think this is probably. I was thinking maybe like Georgia, Armenia,
yeah,
Azerbaijan.
Or even Turkey could happen there too. Yeah.
Let's say here. Bingo! Got a 5,000, perfect score. This is the Pontid, East Mediterranean type, sometimes associated with ancient Scythians, Kurgans, and other steppe peoples. Common in the Balkans, especially Bulgaria, Macedonia, and Greece. The Thracian subvariety. Western Turkey, Ukraine, southern Russia, Azerbaijan, northwestern Iran, and parts of Mesopotamia, sporadically in Lithuania, Poland, Romania, Silesia, Italy, and the Caucasus, and Arabia. So we're off to a good start. Let's get the next one. This is some form of Chinese, I think.
Do you think?
That's the best I've got.
What gave it away?
The Asian ones are always the hardest, and then knowing like where exactly they're from. Is this Southern Chinese? Is this Northern Chinese?
Wait, are you more racist if you get it right or less, or if you get it wrong? Like, is that the?
That's actually a good question.
I don't know how the racism meter works on this.
Yeah.
Because in the traditional sense, you'd be more racist. You go, they all look the same.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But as we know, over the last 10 years, people have been cultivating the race. Like, no, I know exactly who those people are.
Yeah. There's that legendary tweet about like high IQ racism that it requires maintaining a working knowledge of like 6,000 different. It's actually quite an accomplishment.
So maybe this is a high to low racism metric. Yeah,
I'm gonna say this is. I want to say like Northern Chinese, somewhere around Mongolia over to like Kyrgyzstan, somewhere in there.
Yeah,
so I'm just gonna go.
I'm thinking like Mongolia. Yeah, it's that round face.
Oh, so close. It was square in the middle of Kazakhstan would be the right one. This is the Aralid, a West Tungid variety of the vast Central Asian steppes. So still 34-27 is not a bad score. Let's here we go. So this is, I'm gonna guess
people who I couldn't give a flying fuck about, Alex. I mean definitely India.
Bangladesh,
Ghana.
No, that's not Ghana. This is
Ghana's like Africa, isn't it?
Yeah, this is like this is either like South Pacific, Indonesia, maybe, or maybe like Sri Lanka or Bangladesh, somewhere around in there.
You know what? Sri Lanka. I'd go Sri Lanka.
Okay, let's say Sri Lanka. Oh, nailed it. Well done, sir.
Yeah, because Australia, you see Indonesians, they don't look like that.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, this is one of the least distributed types that I've seen at all in this. This is the Veda, vetted proper type, typified by Aboriginals of Sri Lanka, the Veda people, relatively ancient with a long history in the region. Relict groups today mostly live in the eastern parts of the island. A few hundred unmixed remain. The Veda culture and phenotype might vanish soon, although admixture with the type seems relatively common in different parts of the island.
Big boo-boo face. Oh.
All right. Average score of 44-76. We are cooking. Okay, so I think this is like Russian.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm going to say...
Cheekbones, don't lie.
Yeah. I'm going to say...
I would put it right in Russia.
Right here. Ooh. Not particularly close.
Way off.
Trans-Mediterranean. Widespread Mediterranean subtype with many morphological features intermediate between Eurafricanid and gray seal Mediterranean.
Possibly, you know what? Morocco, Egypt. Yeah, okay. Now I can see that.
I can see that now.
Algerian. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Even Spain, Greece. Yeah.
Yeah, initially I wanted to say Greek, but I'm like, everything's looking Greek to me. All the white people are looking Greek. I don't know why.
All right, that's the worst one we've had so far. This one,
Jesus.
This is African. The question is, where in Africa?
I'm going to go with Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast. Okay, so West Africa. I was thinking like Central African Republic. So let's split the difference. Let's say Cameroon. Ooh, not close.
Wow.
You're way off. Malaysia.
Are you serious?
Jahai Semangid, a Paleolithic relic
Java.
of the original Malaysian forest population. Very rare with a few hundred individuals remaining.
Ostronoid. I always love how like the actual like scientific name for these people are way more racist than we would come up with.
Right. I guess I haven't been paying much attention to the chat here. People are making guesses. I'll look at them before our next one here. So we're so far 0 score. We were 10,000 kilometers off. That drags down the average. Okay, this is gonna be. I think this is like Siberian. This is like Northeastern Asian to me.
Have you played this so much and now you're saying like you're starting to see like repeats?
No, I have seen some repeats in the past, but this one I've never seen this one before.
I wouldn't guess Siberian, because Siberians actually look more Turkish than they do Asiatic.
Okay, because this could also be like North American, like Eskimo.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see. What does the chat say? CG Constantine says East Siberian. Ian Carroll says Vietnam.
No, I don't think Vietnam.
No, I don't think so. But I could see Japanese a little bit in the man.
Those people are too well fit for Vietnamese.
I guess I could kind of see Philippines a little bit.
Yeah, I could see Philippines. Yep.
So this is what's hard with all of the different like Asian. There's some that are really distinct, and then there's a some of them where it's anywhere around the Pacific Rim could be viable.
Yeah, because I mean, the real difference between like let's say Laos and Filipino is like what, half a phenotype,
right?
Like,
right,
whatever the hell it is.
All right, Ian Carroll is really insisting that this is Vietnamese. So you know what? We're going to go with Vietnam. Ooh, he was not far off.
Yeah, but
yeah, technically,
this ain't horseshoes, motherfucker.
Or are you just saying about the difference between Vietnamese and Laotian?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm just giving you a hard time, Ian. Like, yeah. I mean, really, how would you know if you weren't like from there or have like know people from there?
Yeah. But 3,000, that's a pretty good score.
Yep.
What's this one? Okay, I think this one. I have seen this one recently, but I don't remember.
Is that Michelle Obama?
It really looks like her.
It's Big Mike before and after.
Yeah. I think this is another South Pacific one.
Yeah, very light skinned.
I think CG Constantine says Central African. Ian Carroll says Congo.
I think Congolese would be like all the pictures of Congolese men, anyways, don't look like that.
Yeah, we got another North Central Africa. All right, so you and I are both thinking like Oceania, and they're thinking Africa.
Could also, you know what? We could also all be wrong. That could be like Jamaica or Barbadian.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe Madagascar.
It looks kind of like almost a little bit of East Indian characteristics in there, right?
Yeah, in her especially.
Yeah, and I'm not just talking like skin, like just even the nose and like the general cheeks and jaw structure. So I would be more guessing something like East, like even Caribbean, because you get like what do we call it, Trinidadians and stuff like that, right? Like Trinis kind of have that kind of look.
I'm gonna guess Madagascar.
Sure.
Nope. Okay, Papua New Guinea. That was kind of where my gut was first, was Papua New Guinea, and I should have stuck with it. Melanicid. I don't even know how you pronounce that. Subtype of New Guinea. found especially in lowlands and river plains. Sounds like they're describing an ape. Has recently been pushed into minority status in Western New Guinea.
They check for logs for bugs in the springtime.
Okay, this is definitely African.
Mm-hmm.
This, I'm going to say Ugandan.
Sure.
Boom.
Boom.
I guess technically Congo, but
oh,
this
Korean.
This is Korean, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's say, yeah, we'll just say South Korea. Oh, Japanese. Ishikawa. Special Japanese type, influenced by ancient regional elements.
There again, right? Like a lot of crossover.
Right.
So, like I've met Koreans who that would be them and their parents.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, the chat thought Korean too.
Probably because, like, you know, good old grape culture.
Right.
Good
right.
old grape.
There's definitely lots of that.
Grape makes everyone kind of look a little bit less similar to each other.
This, I'm gonna say, this is like Himalayan.
Sar.
I'm gonna say Nepal. Let's see what the chat thinks. We're gonna give it a second to catch up. Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Pakistan. Ian Carroll says Pakistan.
It's that weak mustache that is just making me want to punch the screen.
Isaac says East India. So we're all in the same general region. We got to get a good score on this one. What's your do you have a specific location you want to guess, or that you think?
I don't want to occupy my mind with that region of the world. So wherever.
There we go. Another 5,000. 4 perfect rounds. Ooh. The East Bracket. Relatively recent contact type, intermediate between Indids and South Mongolids. Am I allowed to say that on YouTube? Widespread, reaching from Western Himalaya and Nepal to Bhutan and to the Bengals and Burma. Not stabilized yet. Individuals of East Bracket families may tend toward Indid as well as South Mongolid.
Imagine that's where you came from. Like, where are you from? Bhutan? Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry.
That sounds awful.
Average of 3,024. That's a good score. I'm proud of us.
Yay for us.
Woohoo! All right. Let's see. Was there any other...
Have I shared who my pick for the Stanley Cup is? I haven't been watching hockey since I came here because it's too hard to watch the games. So I have not been paying attention to hockey at all. So I don't even know who's in the finals. Stanley Cup finals? Who's in the... are they still in playoffs now? Hang on. 2025. I mean, I couldn't even guess. I don't even know who's playing on what now. Okay, so Montreal's not in there, so I don't kind of care at all. I don't know. I couldn't even. The Golden Knights. There's my pick.
Vegas.
Put that on it.
I got a $5 or $5 Brazilian real super chat from Mr. CG Constantine. He says, "I am a Chad Cabloco. Search the term, you won't regret it." Okay, so let's see. What is a Chabloco? I've got a image search up here.
Is that made with like corn flour?
It's a person of mixed indigenous Brazilian and European ancestry, or less commonly, a culturally assimilated or detribalized person of full Amerindian descent. In Brazil, a cabloco generally refers to this specific type of mestizo. The term, also pronounced caboclo, is from Brazilian Portuguese and perhaps ultimately from the Tupi caabok, meaning the one who comes from the forest. A person of mixed indigenous Brazilian and sub-Saharan black ancestry is known as a cafuzo. Interesting. Is there anything in particular, Mr. CG Constantine, is there anything in particular about the cabloco that you want us to
I think it means I think it means he's a self-hating tribalist.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah. It says in Brazil, the Day of the Cabloco, observed annually on June 24 in celebration of the contributions and identity of the original Cablocos and their descendants. It's an official public holiday in the state of Amazonas. Huh. Today I learned. Very interesting. All right. Well, I think that's all I got for us today. You DM'd me about your thing. Let's see here.
I did?
Yeah, Rome is the idealized form of traditional pragmatic romanticism. And
right. That was a while ago.
Yeah. That was something I thought we might get into. Maybe we'll do that on our next episode. You said in keeping with my theory that America is more Latin than Anglo in spirit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm like, I think it's a misread of what Latin is, but I mean, not saying that you're getting it wrong. I think it's just like, again, word concept fallacies abound, because I think what even Latin means now. I'm just looking at the notes here. More Latin America. Yeah, pragmatism versus romanticism, essentially. Latins are more romantic than pragmatic. And I think America kind of has both baked into the system. It's kind of a perfect synergy of form. But yeah, we'll do it next week.
Yeah, that'll be a good thing to get into. And 2 more Brazilian rails from our Brazilian friend. He says, just means I am full Brazilian.
Oh, well, as opposed to what exactly?
I do like that we have a Brazilian friend.
Yes, it's always good to have. It's always good to have one around. You know, because their language is charming and childish at the same time. Portuguese is this weird, like, you know, like it sounds like someone who's French who's deaf at the same time, like a Spanish deaf person.
I remember.
It's like, what? Senor, like, anything? No. Okay.
Portuguese is to Spanish as Danish is to Norwegian.
That's actually very true. Danish is. Ever hear Dutch people? It's like, I think it's more like another whatever it's like, whatever they speak in Dutch.
I think it's Dutch.
Hollandaise, whatever. Hollandaise, is that what it is? But Dutch people whistle. They actually have a vowel. They have a consonant that forces. They have to wish with, like they whistle out of their teeth. Yeah. And they do it when they're speaking English because they all speak English like perfectly. So, but you talk to them and they kind of sound like vaguely. You can't quite place them where they're from until you know they're from Holland. And then they'll randomly whistle, and you're like, there it is.
Yeah. it's like the reaction of the reaction video of from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right. Yep. There it is.
Yep, there it is. Yeah, the Norwegian people, when I lived in Norway or stayed in Norway for a few months, the Norwegian people I was living with always laughed at the Danes. They said that that the Danes talk like I think they said the Danes talk like they're brushing their teeth, like they have a mouthful of toothpaste while they're talking. And then I think the Danes said that Norwegians sounded like they were talking with a mouthful of hot potato. So
what's my wife said, or I can't remember if it was my wife or someone Australian said this about New Zealanders. It's like they're speaking Aussie, but with a bee sting on their tongue. and next time you hear it, like, put it back to back if you can. Like someone's talking like just standard Australian and a New Zealander, and you're like, oh yeah, I can hear that. That's pretty accurate, actually. I can't really do a New Zealander accent because it's subtle. But you like listen to, like, I don't know, Peter Jackson or something like that, right? When he's doing Lord of the Rings, and you can hear it. Like, it's like there's this like, I don't know how to describe it. It's almost got sort of like a Fargo kind of characteristic to it, you know? Like oh yeah, you know, like it's not that, but it's like, listen to it. Listen to a New Zealand accent, like, and you can hear it inside of it. You know, you'll hear it and go, okay, that's what Jason's trying to.
Yeah, it's like the New Zealand accent to the Australian accent is like the Fargo, Minnesota accent to the standard American accent.
Yeah, it's just got like that sort of like, okay, you know, it's like I'm doing Canadian now, but like it's the same thing. It's like, it's like draw it out somehow, like a little bit different, and it's still the same thing, but it's uniquely different. But you have to hear it to understand it, you know?
Another guy who has a really good or New Zealand accent is the guy who played who produced the Marvel one of the Marvel Thor movies, and he did the voice of the big rock monster. I can't remember his name.
He also did the Hitler movie where he
yeah.
I can't remember. It's something silly like Tinkpu Timpi or something, whatever stupid name.
Names they come up with by like rattling rocks inside a pan.
Hey man, don't criticize the throat music. You know, it's Anzac Day too for all our Australian listeners, which is like the Aussie version of
Taika
Waititi.
Waititi.
There you go.
Yes, yeah. That was the one. Thank you, Ian.
Taika Waititi all day. Oh,
okay, that's enough. This has been Network Armageddon, Electric Boogaloo.
Network Armageddon, Electric Boogaloo. Network Armageddon, Electric Boogaloo. Network Armageddon, Electric Boogaloo. Network Armageddon, Electric Boogaloo.
What he said.
It's a nice thing to say with your mouth. It's fun.
We'll be back next Thursday with another edition of Network.
Oh, hey, wait! I didn't grift.
Oh yes, grift.
Matt's getting all these super chats. Look at that. Look, well, you're welcome, Matt.
Uh-huh.
But if you want to give me some money, there's tons of ways of doing that. Go over to Mirror and Check now, where if you're finding this over on YouTube, Spotify, Substack, or all the other places, you can find many ways to donate. One of the best ways, of course, is go over to Gumroad and look for Tales of the Shadow Empire. Right now, we have
Links
a tariff sale. Oh, there you go. Thank you very much. Tariff sale, save $10 off. Because 10% seems a little bit too chintzy. So you get $10 off until I say no. And you can listen to guests like Stormy Waters, Tom Luongo, Jim Jotras, and Charles Padille. And that's going to be Volume 1. Volume 2, I'm in sort of pre-production. And we can look forward to seeing some of that hopefully sometime later this year. But if you want to know why certain things are happening the way they're happening, especially in the economic sphere, it's a good one to look at and get download into your brain because and you know you can also get copies of that. There's free ones floating around as well. But if you want to help support the show, that's one of the best ways of doing it, and I think it's a value for value exchange. And of course, memberships and all the rest of the things are PayPal. Put me on your payroll. Give me some Thiel bucks. We'll go to PayPal and send me some money directly if you like. Anyway, to keep the lights on, feed the kid, and keep the wife happy is always appreciated. So thank you, folks. Appreciate each and every one of you. Matthew, take it away.
And soon, stay tuned. There will be more ways for you guys to get involved in the show and Jason and other such things. Stay tuned for all of that. This is the first episode of this new show that we're going to be doing on a weekly basis. Many more things to come. And I do not have the Hulk video on this Restream profile. I have no Hulk. I don't have a Hulk to give you guys. I'm so sorry. I guess you'll have to come back tomorrow for the Astrolabe, where you will get Hulk. So for now, I must just bid you adieu.